Okay, cool.
Got it. All right, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Grace Hardy.
And I am David Ryle.
And we are I'm the program manager and David's the program director at Trellis for Tomorrow. And we're here to talk to you a bit more about the Seed Skills Crew program, our summer program. So if you are interested in meeting new people, having fun, learning ways to have a greater impact on your world, or even just doing something good for the summer, this program might be for you. So we want to spend some time sharing a bit more about what you can expect, some of the details of the program, and then next steps for how you can be involved. So right off the bat, I'll just start out with some program details, get those out of the way first. This is a program for 13 to 18-year-olds. And it's based in gardens. We've got 4 different garden sites. One is in Phoenixville, based out of the Don Coppage Village community. We have one in Spring City at Park Spring Apartments, one in Pottsgrove at Rolling Hills, and then one in Pottstown on the 700 block of Walnut Street next to the Hill School ice rink, if you're familiar with where that is. So those are our 4 sites, and each site we're hoping to have about 15 participants. And it's over the course of 8 weeks. So we've broken it down into 2 4-week sections, especially sort of for maybe some of our newer participants who are wanting to try it out and see what the program is like. You can sign up for the first 4 weeks or the second 4 weeks, or if you're ready to dive right in, you can certainly join us for all 8, and we'd love to have you for both sessions as well. So the first session starts on June 20 and runs through July 14, and the second session is July 18 through August 11. The format of the program is that you meet in the garden twice a week. So either Mondays and Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we'll meet in the garden from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. We start that early because it gets really hot in the summer, and we try and start early so that we can get some garden work done before it gets too hot. And then sort of in the later half of the program, we do some low-key, not as heavy-duty gardening stuff to sort of avoid the heat of the day. So that's the basic breakdown, twice a week in the garden from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then there's also a virtual component. So there will be an optional virtual call for all new and returning participants on Tuesday afternoons. And they'll be pretty fun. I mean, I would choose to opt into them. We'll have guest speakers and be going over some other interesting topics, maybe watching something together and talking about it. And so that will be an optional extra thing that you can join us for on Tuesday afternoons. And anybody on our leadership track or returning participants that are doing a bit more with us, they are going to be required to join that call, as well as a second call on Wednesday afternoons for our leadership trackers. So yeah, that's the basic format, and I'm going to pass it over to David to talk a little bit more about the educational stipend aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. And Grace, thank you so much for kind of explaining how the program is growing in 2022. Those of you that have done this program before know that it's like an 8-week thing in the summer. And for some of our newer or younger participants, that's a lot to ask. It's a big portion of your summer. For those of us that have been a part of this program for a year or more that really love it, it's like the highlight of the summer. It's the highlight of the year. But we did want to create a little bit easier segment for new participants to sign up for that 4-week and then make a decision. Do I want to do the second 4, or I've got a vacation, I can only do the second 4, whatever it is. So that 4-week increment is really important for those of you that are kind of thinking about doing this program. Such a great program. We really hope that you'll consider signing up. But Grace mentioned one of the most important things, everybody always asks about it, and what an incredible thing it is to do a program like this and get some money in the process. So we are really fortunate here at Trellis, and the team here works really hard to bring in grant funding to make this program possible. And part of that includes an educational stipend or an educational grant for the participants. So sometimes it gets a little confusing, but this is not like a paycheck. It's not, you're not getting paid to do a job. What you're actually getting is you're getting paid to learn. And I don't know about you, Grace, but I've been in many training situations where I didn't get paid a dime. So to be in a situation where you're learning some skills, you're meeting some people, you're doing some new things, and you're getting some money for it is just like, you know, a win-win-win. So we are really, really pleased to be able to offer an educational stipend, an educational grant for those of you that are doing this program. And the way that it works, I'm so glad too, Grace, that you mentioned our leadership track. For those of you that are coming back, there's opportunities for you to get onto our leadership track by doing our springboard program in the spring, which is actually happening right now. If you are coming back from doing the program before, you're technically an apprentice plus. If you're coming into the program for the first time, you're an apprentice. And anybody that's an apprentice or an apprentice plus has the opportunity in the first half, if they do all 8 weeks, in the first 4 weeks, they have an opportunity of getting up to about $270 or so for that 4 weeks. So not too bad for 4 weeks of programming and sort of meeting some new people and learning some new skills. If you stick around for the second half and you've done really well in the first half, because we're focused on building some job skills and some work readiness skills, you might have the opportunity to actually earn a raise, just to kind of use that terminology from the workplace. So if you're really showing up and you're doing your stuff and you're showing us that you're really into it, you might have the opportunity to earn a little bit of a raise in that stipend for the second half. And at that point, it can go up to about $300 for the second 4 weeks. So if you do all 4 and you get that bump, then you're looking at about, what is that, 570 or so. Now, how do we determine what you get? It's based off of your participation. It's based off of your attendance. It's based off of what you contribute to each day and each session that we do. So we kind of take a lot of variables into consideration, and we talk about those with all of our participants at the beginning. So everybody understands what the expectations are, and then we review it towards the end, and that's how the staff makes determinations about what you get at the end of the day. But if you only show up half the time, you shouldn't expect to get as much as someone that's really showing up every time. So that kind of brings us to a question about what to expect. Like what should you expect when you show up for this program? And for that, I'm going to ask that question of Grace, because she's kind of a pro when it comes to understanding what to expect from this program.
All right. Thanks, David. And hopefully that sort of clarifies what that sort of earning while learning aspect of the program is. I think it's a really exciting piece of the program, and one of the many reasons that I think a lot of people are sort of interested in being able to learn and earn a little bit of money on the side. So,
and I forgot to say one more thing, which is a lot of the young people that are returning and getting onto our leadership track are doing so for many reasons. They want to grow as leaders, they want to grow as people, but there are opportunities once you get on the leadership track to actually get a greater educational stipend as a result, and you have more responsibility and an opportunity to actually earn more money. So it's a real incentive to kind of stick with it and continue developing those skills over the long haul. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make that clear.
No, yeah, that's a great point. Okay, so yeah, you might be wondering sort of what does this program actually look like when I show up in the garden? What are we going to be doing? And so I wanted to just walk through a typical day in the life of a seed participant and what you can expect when you show up in the garden on day 1. So typically we ask that people come a little bit early if you're able, just to sort of get situated, get your stuff ready, and have a bit of chat time before we start. But you'll arrive hopefully a little bit before 8, and then we'll get you signed in. We take attendance every day, and we have just sort of light snacks, breakfast bars sort of stuff available, because we know it is an early start. So we'll have some granola bars and we'll have water, just so that you can start your day off right. And then typically every cohort starts in a circle. So we'll circle up, because circles are the best shape for seeing and hearing everybody. We'll circle up and start our day normally with maybe a question to get to know each other, understand how we're all feeling a little bit that day, and we'll ask everybody to answer. And then we might do some stretching or a physical warm-up to get ready for the day. because we are out in the garden doing some activity where you might be bending down or picking up heavy things. We want to make sure that we're limber and ready for the day. So we'll do a little bit of just warm-ups, making sure everybody's feeling good, checking in, and doing a little bit of physical activity, maybe even starting off the day with a game. And then we'll dive into whatever is on on the docket in the garden that day. It could be a lot of different things. Sometimes it is weeding, or sometimes it's planting new seedlings, or harvesting, or trellising. And all of these terms, if you're not familiar, are things that you'll learn more about if you participate in the program. But there's lots of different garden tasks, and you'll become very familiar with them once you sort of get in the groove in the program. So we start our day with the garden work because, like I mentioned earlier, we try and get the tough stuff done early while it's still a little bit cooler. And during the program, if it's the second day of the week, that will involve distributing produce to your neighbors in the community that the gardens are in, which is a lot of people's favorite part of the program, getting to drop produce off and sort of meet your neighbors and see how excited people are to receive fresh produce. So that's a pretty wonderful part of the program. And that will be sort of your first half of the day. And then second half of the day could be any number of things, but we try and keep it interesting and mix it up a little bit. Some other activities that we do include cooking demos, or team building games, or art projects, or journaling activities, mindfulness. And then we also will be spending a little bit of time walking through some curriculum that we've developed over the last few years that's really essential to this program. So I'm gonna pass it over to David to talk a little bit more about what it is that we talk through with our groups in this program.
Absolutely. Thank you, Grace. And I would just hasten to add, additionally, things going on in the garden are things like cooking. We do a lot of cooking exercises, and as well as some art projects. You may have mentioned that, but lots of great things going on. And one of the things that's really wonderful about this program is that it's not just like a gardening program. It's not just a program to learn about how to be a gardener. That's really not the goal of this program at all. The purpose of this is really to teach new skills. And so we use the garden as a place to learn some of those new skills. One of them has to do with developing an enterprise. So the garden is actually used as a space to create a business of sorts. And Grace was just talking about getting that produce out into the community. That happens because of an enterprise that our youth leaders develop and all of our participants sort of deliver on. And then the garden also becomes a place where we can think about our relationship to the world and the systems that make up our world, and how we can have some influence in making some positive changes in our world. And that's called systems thinking. So having an understanding about the systems that we interact with and how we can have some influence in the world is a big focus of this program. So in addition to learning how to run a garden and run a business out of the garden, we're also thinking about our relationship with the world. And basically, we're kind of looking at the systems that we interact with and the power that each one of us has to have a positive difference in our world. So each week we look at a different system and we practice techniques for making changes within ourselves, within our immediate surroundings, and beyond. At the end of each morning, one thing that's really important for us is sharing a meal together. So it's a big feature of our time, and we will work together to prepare some food and share a meal in the garden at the end of the day. And that's one of the reasons that our day together goes from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that sort of brings us through a typical day together in the garden. There's other things that we do, like Grace was saying about the virtual calls, but that's what a day in the garden will look like from beginning to end. And one question that we get with some frequency has to do with what are the benefits, like why do this? And so we wanted to share with you some of the benefits of doing this program. And Grace, are we prepared to kind of share this clip with our viewers?
Yes, give me a moment. Maybe you can start off
Sure.
with a couple benefits and I
Yeah,
will
absolutely.
bring it up.
So one of the biggest benefits, as we've already discussed, is this program is a great way not just to meet new friends and to get outside and to get some exercise, but to develop some work readiness skills. So you're really going to be building those muscles. It's like a gymnasium, like where you're building some muscles. You're building muscles to kind of understand what are your skills, what are your strengths, where do you need to grow a little bit more to get ready for what you're going to do later in your life. Some of you might be a little young, but that doesn't mean it's too early for you to start thinking about building those muscles for later in life when you start getting your first job or your second job, or start thinking about what you might want to do with your career or the kind of gigs you want to go after. So this program is a great way to meet folks, but it's also a great way to build those muscles during your summer, which goes a long way for our participants.
All right, I think I'm ready to share here.
Cool.
At its core, our work at Trellis for Tomorrow is about helping people realize their best potential and about cultivating a hope for the future we can all share. If the time someone spends with us can help them to feel more compassionate or to grow their capacity for resilience, we believe that this will help us all work together to find new and creative solutions to our biggest problems. When we work together creatively and with compassion, we build stronger communities, and that is what will ultimately create a more sustainable world.
Since 2002, we've been using parks, preserves, and gardens as living classrooms to teach vital skills for making our world a better place for everyone who shares it. This work has never been more important than it is right now, and we know that together we're growing in the right direction.
With a focus on youth development, care for the environment, and improved food security for our region, Trellis is actively paving the way for the next generation of leaders to build a better life by gaining the skills and tools needed to take care for themselves, their community, and the world they live in.
Establishing gardens like this one in communities with little or no access to nutrient-dense food give these young people an opportunity to address real-world needs while learning they have the power to effect positive change.
When young people have meaningful experiences while caring for their environment, it broadens their horizons. Their time with Trellis instills an awareness of their connection to the world that enriches their sense of self-worth and their responsibility to others.
Okay, so hopefully that gave you all a little bit of a glimpse into what life looks like as part of the Trellis program. I wanted to just touch on a couple other sort of benefits or highlights that we think are part of the reason that people like to sign up for this program. One of which, as you could see, it's pretty much entirely based outside. So there's so many different studies that show and prove the benefits of that spending time outside is really good for you, not only physically, but also mentally. And I think a lot of us spend so much of our lives in front of a computer screen for school, doing homework or signing into calls. And then if you're older at work, a lot of the time is spent behind a computer. So it's really great to have the opportunity to just have a reason to be outside for a few hours a couple times a week and just sort of reap those benefits of just feeling good physically and mentally from spending time outside.
Absolutely. It's something that a lot of our participants say they love, and I can tell you that it's been a huge benefit for me as well. So it's something I look forward to every year. And then in addition to these things, the work readiness piece, the benefits of spending time outdoors is just the opportunities of getting to know yourself a little bit better, getting to know other people in your community, getting to meet some new friends, and getting to develop some new skills, as we've already talked about. So there's a lot of sort of getting to know that takes place during this program that you do not want to miss out on. Whether you've done this program like 5 times or if this is your first time, many, many benefits and opportunities for doing this program. And the ones that we've talked about are really just a few. So, Grace, here's the big question. What are the next steps? Like, if someone's interested, whether they've done this program before or not, the program's changing in some ways. So, what do they do from that? Like, where do they go from here? What are the next steps? What should they do if they want to sign up?
All right. Yes, definitely. I'm going to try sharing my screen again and hopefully be able to get out of it. But now that I know that David can rescue me, I don't feel as bad. So if you have joined us on the call, most likely you've already submitted an application. And so that's step number one, is just submitting an application. So a lot of people find it the easiest way to apply is online. You can go to our website and pick the tab that talks about youth programs and then Seed Skills Crew, and there's an online application there. Or if you live at Rolling Hills or Park Springs, both of those locations have paper applications available in their community rooms. So feel free to go and stop by, say hi to Miss Minnie or Mr. Carl, and they can help you fill out an application. We'll also be present in those communities in person in days coming up soon. So keep your ears out for when I will be stopping by, and you can come by and say hi and fill out an application. But that's the first step. So most of you can probably check that box already. We're really happy to have you here and happy to have gotten so many new applicants this year. So the second step is what's happening right now. It's our info session. We really wanted to schedule a time to share more about the program so that everybody knows and has a good understanding of what it is before we start. So if you were not able to join us in person, that is okay. I will be sending out a link to this recording. And if you joined us late, I'll still send a link so that you can catch the first bit that you weren't able to attend. So after you've applied and learned a bit more about the program through the info session, the next step is that we'll be getting in contact to set up a one-on-one call. So for new participants, this is a chance for us to meet you, for you to ask any remaining questions you might have about the program that weren't covered on this call. And we'll get to know you a little bit and ask a few questions of you, just what are your interests, and get to know you, and so that we can make sure that the program is a good fit for you. So that's step 3. And then after that call, we'll confirm that you're locked into the program, you're accepted. And then the final piece is that we've got a few just housekeeping paperwork type of things that need to get filled out before we start the program by every participant. So in order for us to do that and collect all of your information, we're scheduling 4 sessions at each of the gardens, or 1 session at each of the gardens, 4 total, that will be taking place the 2nd and 4th weeks of May. And if you applied, I will be reaching out to make sure that you've got the dates and times for those. They're not locked down yet, but we'll be meeting there in person to fill out. Trellis has their own paperwork, a few things that you just have to sign that are sort of just like medical forms and acceptance forms and that sort of thing. And then the second piece of that is that this program is funded by the counties. And so in order for us to be able to provide the educational stipends and really run this program at all, we need to submit a few things to the counties that they ask us to collect from all of our participants. And so we fill out TANF forms, and through that paperwork, they ask us to provide a few really important documents for each of our participants. And you will get more information on this. I will be following up about these in-person days, but just briefly, they do ask for proof of your Social Security. So a copy of your Social Security card, a birth certificate, and then some sort of proof of address to be scanned. So that could be a piece of mail with your name on it. And sometimes if you've got a passport, that I think covers a couple different things. So I'll be sending out more info. I know this is a lot of the nitty-gritty details, but that paperwork session is going to be the last piece, and we just ask that everybody attend one. There will be 4 options, so pick the one that you can come to, and Those will happen in May, and that will be the last step before our program starts in June. And David, I think you're gonna have to.
Oh
me out.
boy, that's fine. I'm happy to do it. So this is great. That's really, in broad strokes, that's really kind of like everything that you really need to know at this moment, whether you're on the call or you're watching this video on YouTube. If you're watching it on YouTube, check out the description below. There may be some links or some things that you can click down there to get some more information, or to check out our website, where you can also find more resources to answer your questions. But I just want to say a couple things. One is, yes, the 4 steps that Grace just laid out are absolutely necessary. So if you're interested in doing this program, you need to do all 4. Even if you're a returning participant, you still got to do all 4, but it will be much faster for those of you that are coming back for a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th time. So if you've done the program before, it's going to be very easy for you to do these 4 steps, especially the in-person day, because we have a lot of your information already. But if you do not show up to one of those in-person days, and if we do not get your paperwork, we will give your spot away to someone else. We have a lot of people signing up for this program, and if we don't have your information, you can't do the program. So in the past, we had to chase people around. We're not doing that anymore. We're making it easy for you to sign up in the next couple months before the program is even on the horizon, but you got to sign up for one of those. You got to be prepared to do all 4 steps. So don't miss it. We don't want you to miss the program. So make sure you take those steps. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And we want to stick around if anyone has any questions on the call that they want to ask. But if not, we can call it a day. Does anyone have any questions?
And you can feel free to put them in the chat if you would rather not unmute. We can keep an eye on that as well.
Cool.